Hello and welcome to the Navyknitters podcast. Today it's May 5th and this is episode number, I don't know, I lost count. My name is Leontine, I'm from the Netherlands and this is my little happy place where I talk about my Navy life, my knitting and all my other creative endeavors. So let's say welcome back. It's been a while since I recorded. I think it was even last year. Yeah, a lot has happened in between recording the last episode and the new one, and that is that I have been recording podcasts, but it was in Dutch mainly. I did a sort of an improvised everything I knit in 2023 video, and my daughter really wanted to star in it. So to give her a chance to partake in it, we did it in Dutch, and the feedback I got from the Dutch knitting community was kind of overwhelming. And they said, well, we actually prefer it to be in Dutch. So from then on, I made a few episodes in Dutch only. But yeah, last period, I'm getting requests of redoing some in English. So I'm going to try, and this is by far a promise, but I'm going to try. I'm going to set the intention to, from now on, record every episode in 2 languages. I hope it'll work out, but from now on I'm going to do it in a parallel way. So I hope you can follow me and stick around, and I hope this will work also. First of all, I'm sitting outside in my garden. It is kind of cloudy, sunny, everything in between. Spring hasn't really committedly sprung here in the Netherlands, but today it's fairly okay. So I hope the lighting will be okay because it's shadowy, sunny, on and off. Let me show you my first, well actually what I'm wearing is my toaster tee. I made this last year in Drops Bell in the kind of old pinkish color. I've been wearing it a lot. And there comes the sun again. And this was actually too warm to put on. This is my finished object. My stick season sweater by the Creabea. I knit this up in a cone of, well, part of a cone, 4-ply British wool in the color cinnamon. Actually really matches my hair, which I like. I had 1 cone of this and 1 big hank, and in the end I didn't end up using all of it, but I used exactly 500 grams to make this entire pullover. I had, you see the thread is quite thin, so I didn't do this. So I held it double to actually get the required yardage, or the required gauge. I even lost my English over not recording in English. And the way I knit it, you start under the collar, you make this stick season pattern with a detail on a raglan detail on the shoulder part in the end and around the shoulder part, and I knit it until I ran out of my balls of yarn that I wound up out of my cakes, and then I was about here. Then I first did these sleeves because I don't particularly like doing sleeves, so I wanted to get them out of the way as fast as possible. And I knit them until I thought I was at the right length where I wanted to start the cuffs. But I did not do the cuffs yet, I just put it on a barber cord or Scooby-Doo cord. Then I did the other one, also the same, until I was at the more or less length I wanted to have for my arms. Then I continued to do the bottom part of the sweater, also until I reached the point where I thought it was long enough, and before doing anything I blocked it because I didn't know how much this would grow, how much the pattern would open up, and I wanted to have the exact right length and not have it too long or too short. I wanted it bang on the way I wanted it, and it worked out quite well because the arm length was perfect. So then I did a cuff, and it's in 2x2 rib. And in the end, I did a setup row to change from 2x2 rib to a 1x1 rib because I wanted to do the Italian bind off. So I did 1 setup row, then I did 4 rows in double knit, And then I did the Italian bind off. And this is actually the technique I stole or got inspired by from the zipper sweater by Knit that I made for myself already 2 years ago. And they did exactly the same technique, and I really like it because it gives you a really sturdy cuff, and it won't widen itself over time. I think it's quite sturdy. And I did in the end the same for the length. I think I lengthened it by a few centimeters, and then I did exactly the same from the 2x2 rib. I changed it into 1x1, did 4 rows, set up, and then the Italian bind off, which took ages. But I'm really, really, really happy the way it turned out. And I have been wearing it on and off since the weather is kind of in between summer and winter every day. You don't know. And I really love this one. Oh no, I forget one detail. Before I bound off, I put on the cuff on the bottom, I first did the collar. And for the collar, I decided to do it 1 centimeter longer, so it sits a little higher. You knit it and then you fold it double and you attach it to the inside. And I first did this, then I put it on because the collar also makes it sit on the right place on your shoulders, so how it would sit naturally. And this can also affect the way that the length is going to be, because if it, you see, if it's not that tight of a collar and it gets down, it lengthens on the bottom. See the effect? So I wanted the collar first, and when I had the collar that keeps the shoulders in place, then I could determine the right length. And from now on, I will always do this. So first make sure I got a collar so it sits on the shoulders in the right way, and then determine what length I want it to have, because this is just perfect. And again, all patterns from the Creabea are amazing, and they fit like they should. So this I really love. And then I have another finished object, because this year turned out to be my sock year. I'm running a little behind because I think Stephen West had his year of socks last year, but I got inspired to make a lot of socks. And I wanted to learn how to do a new thing. And first of all, let's show you the finished object. These are the Hazel Shorties by the German designer Ducathi. And her name is Ducathi not because she likes motorcycles of the brand Ducati, but because her name is Katharina Duden. And she has lovely designs. And I chose this one because I wanted to learn how to make shorties with this kind of heel detail. And it's a folded cuff with a little, well, elevation, short rows in the back, so it sits neatly on your sneakers. And the other thing I wanted to learn is the heel that she makes, because she does a short row heel. So you have short rows here and then again here. And by doing so, you never have to pick up any stitches. So there's no holes and nothing. And then you just have this little triangle here where you decrease stitches again. Very neat. And it has a lovely, well, kind of holy, excuse me, lacy pattern on top. I bought this yarn last year in France, in Erquy, in Bretagne, by a hand dyer who's called Lende Moed. And the color is called Dahlia. And I made socks for my daughter from this with a bright pink and this Dahlia color, and I had enough left to make myself some shorties. And actually I'm planning on casting on another pattern by Ducathi, because she has a sock design where she has kind of a heel with a that gives you a triangle shape on the bottom of your heel, and then she does some really nice color work inside this triangle of the heel. So if you put on your socks and you put your feet up high and you see a triangle here with some neat thing in there, I will show you next time, because I have castanitis and I can't wait to cast them on. But first of all, I have to finish what I have on my needles, and this is my very first test knit. I was the lucky one who got to test knit for the Creabea. I do love her designs. I think I've got them all in my library. I've knitted quite some already and I'm in the course of finishing some. I got some hibernating whips also by her, and this is going to be the Tolster tank that I'm test knitting for her. I'm making this in Drops Bell, in the color white and navy, and I incorporated some stripes every 10th row, and I did one row of stockinette and then a garter bump row to not only have stripes but also have some texture in it. And I'm making the square neck version, and I'll show you what I did, because I did not have a project bag that did it justice. So I made myself a project bag, the Tolsta project bag, and from here you can see the different versions we're testing. I'm testing this one, the square neck, but she also has a V-neck and a crew neck, and she also is going to have a Tolsta test knit for long sleeves and for bust shaping, because all of these have bust shaping. And this is something I'm really interested in, because usually when I do tops I measure my bust circumference, and anything above a C cup actually gives you kind of an off measurement, because then it would fit around my bust, but then if I go down on my waist it would be really large and wonky. So I'm hoping to learn something from it, how I can adjust patterns to accommodate my bust and be again fitted afterwards. And a thing I haven't told you on this English channel is that apart from making project bags, I now have my own Etsy shop. It's the Navyknittersworkshop, where I also sell these kind of project bags, yarn cozies, stitch markers, and every other thing I can imagine. So I would really appreciate if you would take a look. And that's also something a lot of my time has gone into, and which I really like. But I'm also thinking of, if I may, I have to ask permission first by Rebecca, if I can have Tolsta knitting bags in there, because it's kind of like if you make one you have to make more. It's kind of an addiction. So I'm planning on keeping counts on how many of each version I'm going to make. So I think end of the year I'm going to have all kinds of marks on here of how many I made. But yeah, this is my first test knit, really exciting, and it's a lovely group of testers we have. It's really, the atmosphere is really great, and they're really helpful, and I've learned a few bits here and there already. So this is I'm now on the back panel, and actually it's the second time I knit this, because the very first time I did, I had to split for the arms, and then my count was off by about 8 or 9 stitches. So I must have been watching something very, I don't know, dull on TV when I did the cast on, because I had to unravel 30 centimeters of knit because it was just off and way too wide and not at all my size. So I had to start over all again, but I think I will finish it in this weekend. It's the May holiday here in the Netherlands, so my kids have another week off. They just had last week off already, and we have some holidays, so it's only 2 days of work next week, so I get a lot of time to knit and to edit these episodes, of course. But I think I will finish this one and cast on another one straight away. Then I have some acquisitions to show you. I had to go to Split in Croatia for work. We had a NATO conference there, and just in the other episode in Dutch I explained what we do with NATO. Well, I will explain this another time, because now we have to leave for an appointment. We're going to see my parents, so I'll be back.
Hi again, we are back. It's been a week and I could not find the time to record the second part of the English podcast, but I uploaded my Dutch one yesterday evening, and waking up this morning and seeing all the lovely comments of people watching and the Instagram tags of like seeing an iPad screen or telephone screen and people sitting on their morning coffee and knitting really got me going and motivated to finish the English one also. And I think last time, just before I had to cut off because we went to see my parents in Lelystad, I was telling you all about my NATO conference that I took part in. So the position I'm currently working in is at the Maritime Warfare Center, and I'm with the Department of Doctrine and Tactics. And I try to explain what doctrine is in my Dutch, or one of my Dutch episodes. And I think I came up with a comparison that you will all understand. And that is that within NATO, we are a lot of member states, even 2 recent new member states, Finland and Sweden. And what we do in NATO is we try to work together to be better allies. And to be able to do it, I compared it to a test knit. So if you participate in a test knit, which I'm now doing on my very first one, you all commit to knitting the same pattern. So you all agree on that the craft is going to be knitting, and we all agree on that the finished product will be, in this case, I don't have it with me, a certain toaster tank. Then we divide all participants into categories. You say, well, I want to make that size, I want to make that size. And in the end, what needles you use, what yarn you use, and everything is really up to you as long as you meet gauge. And so in the end, we are all making toasted tees or tanks, but you are still allowed to have your individual touch and to do certain things or to omit certain things. But in the end, you are all working towards the same goal. And that's kind of the same that we try to achieve with our NATO allies or partners. We have a big goal and we all try to commit into reaching that goal, but we are within that commitment, we are allowed our own like national specialties, let's say. I hope you can still follow me. But to do so, we have a lot of working groups that we are taking part in, and I'm representing the Netherlands Navy for the logistics part. And so we had Maritime Logistics Conference a few weeks ago in beautiful Split in Croatia. And let me put in some footage of Croatia. As I said, I googled, I searched on Ravelry, and it was really, really, really hard to find Croatian yarn. They do have sheep, they do have goats and everything, but they're not that big, at least not that I could find. They're not that big in the yarn industry, but I managed to find, because I was in Split from Monday to Friday, and on Thursday I had an unexpected sort of day off, because it was part of the working group where they really discussed technical things on replenishment at sea, and that's not really my cup of tea. And there were other delegates from the Netherlands who took that part. So I gave myself permission to roam around and enjoy Split for the day. And I stumbled upon a little haberdashery shop that I hadn't found before. I just went in, asked the lady nicely if they had some yarn from Croatia, and I was lucky because amongst all the other imported yarn, mainly from Turkey, I found 2 skeins of this yarn, Anna, and it has 45% wool, 10% cashmere, 35% I think is cotton, and 10% viscose. And it is by Unitas Yarn, made in Croatia. I can't really find and you see it here. Let's see if I can get it any sharper if I hide my face. You see that it's 3, no, didn't get it any sharper today. Well, 3 threads together. It's one yellow one, a blue one, and a green one. Not really my colors, but I think this will make some beautiful socks or some kind of scarf or hat maybe for my son. But at least I was successful in finding Croatian yarn. And yeah, and very shortly I will have another business trip to look forward to, and then we will go to Vilnius to prepare a big logistics exercise again with NATO partners. This will be my very first planning conference, so I'm really excited what it is going to be like, and yeah, to get some knowledge of that, because we haven't participated from the Navy in any logistics exercises for a long time now, so it's all kind of new and I have to pioneer in that. And I'm really looking forward to going to Vilnius. I will be traveling with one of my army colleagues, and I hope we'll have some time to roam the village. And it's also from Monday to Friday, but I saw that the flights are leaving quite early on Friday. So let's see if we can squeeze in a little more shopping, because I know for sure that there's tons of yarn that I want to explore. Yeah, speaking about acquisitions, I did have some. Well, I had a lot in the meantime, but I'm trying to catch up on the Dutch episodes. So from now on, they're going to be parallel. So of course I knit a lot and did a lot in the meanwhile, but we start again here. We make a clean cut, and from now on I will do everything, I hope, in 2 languages in 2 episodes. So then we'll be parallel. But I have one acquisition, and this has a bit of a history. A few years ago, I went to the Sandnes Garn factory in Sandnes, Norway, when we were there with the ship, and I bought some mill ends. So these were all kind of loose bobs and ends of tunline in a dove gray bluish color, and these are all like kind of odd ends and skeins that were not wound in the correct way. So I took the time, I think it's about 1 kilo of yarn. So I took the time, rewound all those odd ends during winter, and now I have a whole bag of beautiful tunline sitting there and waiting. And I saw this, this very fine pullover thing for summer from some other Instagrammer, I think, or from a German web shop, Maschenfein. And she was wearing the Tyrol sweater. And the Tyrol series is a series of a short, a t-shirt, and a sweater, all made in line from Sandnes Garn. And the patterns are also from Sandnes Garn, which they give out in a leaflet. But Sandnes Garn has this, I say rule, is it rule? They usually only sell patterns if you buy the yarn with it. And so I was Googling all kind of web shops in the Netherlands and even in Germany where they would have the pattern for the Tyrol summer set. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And in the end, I found it at Vive Handmade. That's a web shop in Dordrecht, which is close to Rotterdam. And I sent a WhatsApp message to the lovely owner, Geetje, and asked her if she would be able to get the yarn at the or to get the pattern book at the wholesalers. And she did some inquiries, and she managed to pull it off. So this is the Sundness Materials Somerset pattern book. And I will try and show you the thing I want to make. So there's one part is the shorts. I'm not quite sure if I'm up to, if I have the guts yet to wear knitted shorts in summer. There's also, beautiful picture, there's also a t-shirt made in Line. And I think this looks close to the Cumulus tee, maybe. But I will try and find the picture that I have of the pullover, because when I was 14, 15, I owned a pullover made from linen, in a linen fabric, and it was ideal for summer. And so this inspired me. Oh, where's the pullover? This is, of course, when you want to show something and it really doesn't cover. Here, there's the one. So here you can see the shorts and the, well, I hide my face to make it any. And this is the pullover I want to make in kind of the same color. And because a leaflet pattern booklet doesn't like to travel alone, I had a look around the website and I found some yarn on sale. And so I bought these cuties. These are all Kremke Solwool Edelweiss alpaca. Oh, hide my face so it will sharpen. No focus. No focus today. But I bought it in the color 34, 02, 33 and 45. And these are all 25 gram balls. And I'm planning to make these socks that I showed you earlier from Ducathi and make them in these colors probably, or use them as color accent. And they're super, super soft. I haven't made socks with this yarn yet, but I thought it was quite cute. Yeah, and some other kind of reverse acquisition. As I mentioned in the first part of the episode, I started my own Etsy webshop. It took some time. And the thing that got me going were yarn cozies, because I really, really like my yarn cozies. And I'll show you what a yarn cozy is. It's these handy pouches. And this is my triangle scarf, the half and half triangles wrap. And I have some, I wound up my skein into a cake. And to make sure that the cake stays in its shape, I have these kind of socks with double bottom on it. They're closed. And I put it in here, and so I can have a center pull skein or cake, and it keeps it from unraveling whenever I put it in my project bag. So this is a simple blue one. Here I've got another one. You can see still, this was yarn from the border mill that I made a hat in, and this was the leftover. And I keep it in a cute little cozy, and it stays like this. This is something else I haven't put in the shop yet, but I have been making a few. This is a nail garage. So I keep my DPNs in here. Oh, with the first row of my northeasterly. Well, before this becomes a blanket, there have to be a whole lot of more episodes. But I have been knitting on it from time to time, and to keep my needles from going everywhere and to prick through my project bag, I just put them in the garage and snap it close. And now the project can't go anywhere and I can't lose any more needles. And see my little logo, the Navy Knitter. So this one I still have to make. I cut out a few and I still have to sew them, but these will come up shortly. Then in the same fabric, which is totally by accident, I also have these very simple one-layered project bags in some cute fabrics. I also have project bags since I carry my projects almost everywhere. I made some, and it's a bit dirty, I see. Don't look at that. And for the non-Dutch speakers, it says this is my stables knitting bag, because this lives in my bag that I always take to the stable on Saturday. And I have one with this is my car knitting bag that lives in my car. I have one that says traveling time is knitting time, because I was doing quite some traveling by train also for work, and I always carried some kind of sock or stockinette project. And yeah, so I have those in my web shop. And then I have this cutie, the chicken bag, because I was knitting on an emotional support chicken. I also did, like many of you. And I had this fabric that I stumbled across, and it's also single layered, it's like a canvas. And I had a chicken set. So I had the project bag, I had white needle stoppers that looked like eggs, and I had stitch markers in the form of a young chicken, like a small one in yellow. And I also sold those sets, but I only sold them, I think, on Insta. I didn't even have them. And some other thing you can find are these row counters. This is a chain of 10 rings, and it has a clip on it. I hope you can see it. Yeah, there it is. And with and a moustache at the end. And with the help of this, you can count to actually 99. So you have rings 1 to 0, of course. You put them on your knitting needles. I usually use the Chagu ones and the circular needles, and I just slip it on, and every time I come to the needle, I will put another ring, and I advance it like that. And once you get to the last one, which is your number 10, you take your little clip, you put it through the first loop, and this marks your 10s. So this would be 11. If I mark it on the second ring, this would be 21, and so on. So you can count until 99. And I use these a lot. I've made quite some Sophie scarves and other stuff. So I also have some, if I have a certain row repeat, let's say I have a pattern with a 5 row repeat, I will just make myself one with 5, or I just use the last 5 rings of this one. So whenever I put it away and take it back up again, then I don't have to read my fabric that I knitted, but I can just look at the row counter and know exactly what row I'm in at that moment. So these are also in a variety in the Etsy shop. And something I'm planning on putting in are these little notion keepers thingies. What do you say? These are just little boxes, and you can put your stitch markers in, or your row counters. And I have some cute designs on the top, and these are all with kind of a dome, so this is all flat and smooth. And yeah, last but not least, I have these sticker sets. These are all, let's see, these are all pullovers, and on the back there's another sticker set with socks, and these are also on there. Oh yeah, and I forget one that I sold a lot of in the beginning. I made stitch markers with a lava pearl, and I sold them together with essential oils. So you could have either lavender, lemon, or pine, and you got about 10 drops of essential oil, and so you could put the marker on your garment and have some lavender scent or some pine scent. Those are also quite cool, and I sold a lot of them in the beginning. So yeah, I hope I could inspire you to take a look. And yeah, I would be very, very grateful if you leave me a thumbs up, if you press the little bell and leave me a subscription to the channel, and then you will see next time whenever there's a new episode online. As I said, I'm going to try to make dual episodes now, so one in Dutch and one in English, and I hope to see you again soon. And don't forget to leave me any questions down in the comments, either on the Netherlands, on my life, Navylife, on my knitting, on everything, and I will answer all of your comments. So let's see you next time, and until then, bye.